Alrighty, welcome everybody to our final round of Swiss on the night. The Overmaster taking one redraw, but keeping a pretty solid hand. Roshi also on a nice little hand. Roshi's going to need some power, but Shadow Creeper, Vine Grafter, Speed Grafter, Exploit. This is kind of exactly what this deck wants on the early turns. Alright, but Theo gonna hit the ground first with a nice little 2 damage charge, plus a depth charge on the back. That card's got charge on top of charge. But a Vine Grafter is a nice way to block it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, yeah, these cheap regen units, the bane of all aggro decks in existence.
That's why it's so impressive that Theo was able to beat Canada earlier when you had those cheap regen units and some Ruble as well. Theo not going to be able to attack, but is going to play a 3/2 Decay Smuggler. Let's see what Theo's going to grab from the market here. Options are Open Contract, Madness, Strange Burglar, and your boy Vicious Highwayman.
Honestly, I like Open Contract here against the Golem deck, but Theo going for the Madness Combust.
Madness Combust, that's pretty good.
That's going to be broken up though. You know, when you go to the market and just pass the turn, that's exactly when a shadow deck will just say, okay, you know, show me your hand, and now I get to do all sorts of wonderful things to it.
Oh, but actually, instead, Roshi says, you know what, that's cool and all, but that Houndmaster is a little scarier and is actually going to take the Houndmaster with the Exploit. Says that's harder for me to deal with and pass it back. So if Theo wants to run that play, actually, so the interesting thing is you need a target for Combust, right? So if Roshi needs a second unit, which Roshi's going to play, it's not like you can do it, but Roshi can at least delay that a little bit because I don't think you can't Madness Combust without a unit to target.
Right.
So at least for another turn, Roshi's going to stick that in Theo's hand. But if Roshi doesn't play another unit the whole game, I think Theo's pretty happy with that. So it's going to have to happen at some point.
Absolutely. I wonder if we see the Open Contract here. Just pop this Vine Grafter and start getting your beats in because, hey, your opponent's going bigger, so...
Here we go, Open Contract. You called it, Ilya. Open Contract takes care of the Vine Grafter, and we're going to charge in for some more damage. Down to 17 with a virtual 4. Koch are going to hit the board now, play a Sigil. That's going to ramp Roshi up to 5 and gain up to 18. Now back up to 20 and up to 6 power. So that was a nice little turn for Roshi. That's what Roshi wanted. Follow up with a Speed Grafter as well. Now Theo's Madness Combust turn is on if they want. I wonder if there's any chance if you're in Roshi's seat you just keep the Katra to turn that play off, but I don't think so because you can't play the rest of the game that way.
If the Katra Madnesses and swings, right, then Roshi could just chump.
Right.
And the Katra would come back, so Theo has to Madness Combust her without swinging and...
Ugh. Now that's a virtual 6 damage for Theo in hand. Potentially 8 with this next attack. So Roshi down to basically 4 power. Now, Roshi does have that Azendel. That has lifesteal.
And a regen. And Theo just has no resources to deal with.
Theo doesn't have anything left to actually attack. So that was a huge play here by Roshi because this just isn't really, there's not really much Theo can do here. An attack, I guess, is okay, but I think Roshi would just slam that Vine Grafter. Maybe slam the Azendel in front too, but doesn't even have to necessarily block with the Azendel.
Doesn't need to, but hey, 5 life is 5 life.
Yeah. All right. Gonna go down to 9. Theo gonna deal 6 with these depth charges. That's gonna put Roshi to 3, but here comes Azendel. That's gonna trigger and as lifesteal. Gonna get a free Grenadin out of the deal. Plus that Shadow Creeper now. Gonna discard. That's gonna kill the Amarok. And Roshi's gonna attack for that 5 lifesteal. That Azendel turn was huge for Roshi. Jump back up to 8. Now Roshi has board advantage and is back up to 8. So out of range. And yeah, the Theo just says, I'm not dead right now, but you know what? I'm not winning this game. And Roshi,
Yep.
well navigated. I mean, credit to Roshi for navigating that. There wasn't a lot of turns to work with, but Roshi did exactly the right play on each of those turns.
Yeah, so Theo had to fire off that Madness Combust on the Katra.
Yeah, I think so. And actually, so I wonder, I talked about that play. I think that's a really interesting play where Roshi decided to play out that grafter knowing that it was going to get Madness combusted. But with the Azendel in hand, I wonder if that was also intentional, where it was just, I really want Theo to make that play this turn so that he doesn't make it next turn. And I know I can stick my
Right.
Azendel next turn.
Right, you got to rip off the Band-Aid, as they say.
All right, players good to go here. Another pretty decent starting hand for Roshi. Theo gonna go down to 6. 4 power, Houndmaster, champion, okay, or champion of Fury. Dead Ninja, good draw. This seems like a good setup for Roshi here. I mean, a unit's a good draw for Theo, but I'm worried with this hand going to 6 and getting a little flooded here potentially. Hard to say that when you have 3 very powerful units in hand, but Roshi's just going to be able to deal with each one of those units on 3 subsequent turns, and then Theo's going to be out of gas.
Right. That's always the concern when playing an aggro deck, that hey, you don't get the optimal draw, and then you're out of gas and your opponent's still alive and slamming
Yeah.
mid-range threats. So
Well, that's the thing. Now this will be really interesting. Theo's going to have 3 power here. Does Theo play Auto Tread plus a 2-drop? Because if he does, Roshi's just going to blow that out with an Aramot's design.
yeah, gotta respect that.
But on the other hand, that's one of those where it's like, but are you winning otherwise? Like, but if you don't do that, are you winning the game? If Roshi has it, he's going to have it. He's going to do it either way. You might just need to say
Yeah,
the only way I win this game is say that Roshi doesn't have Aramot's designs and just play out my hand. Now, Theo's going to play cautiously.
yeah, that Aegis on the Amarok basically says, hey, I'm expecting the Airmont designs, and yeah, the chump block, sort of signaled, hey,
True.
I have the designs here. So
Yeah, good point. Exploit going to take the Champion of Fury. That's pretty good. I mean, when you can take a Champion of Fury with an exploit, that's actually a really good exchange, I feel like, for Roshi. But it does mean that the units on the board are not being addressed, so Theo, at the very least, is going to get some more hits in.
right,
Yeah, it's a bunch of damage. It's going to be 14. Roshi now basically has to play out the Airmont's designs on this turn.
right,
And send an agent does not hit Prowling Amarok.
right. Absolutely got to deal with this Houndmaster and its Hound. So yeah, this designs isn't getting much better.
Yeah, the only thing Roshi can really do is that plus exploit. That'll take the auto tread. And Theo, nice draw off the top. Man, I was just crediting how well Roshi navigated that. Credit to Theo for how well navigating this, too. That's going to put Roshi all the way down to 6-4, courtesy of the depth charge.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Second Airmux designs off the top.
Well, that is a top deck. Roshi played to the outs, perfectly drew exactly what they needed, and that's going to stabilize. And now Theo out of gas. Roshi going up to 6 health here. Active Katra. Wow, you can feel the table just flipped on you right there.
Right. Well, now it's flipping back. This Combust is going to take out this Katra, shut off the life gain, at least for now.
Yeah, but we've
Oh,
also
the
got a
last
last chance in
chance
hand,
for
right?
Katra.
If you're Roshi, you just play the Katra again, I would assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a bit of a heartbreaker for Theo.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, looking at how Roshi's deck is played out here with a lot of cheap interactions, some lifesteal, some, board wipes, it does seem like Roshi's deck, Vine Grafters, is set up fairly well against what Theo's got going on. But I
That's
don't know,
true.
those tandem units are just so good.
They are, but those exploits were kind of nasty.
Yeah, well timed exploits. Exploit isn't always necessarily good against hyper aggro decks, but it really worked out well in this match.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so permafrost.
Sure, but you still get the lifesteal off of it, and you still got the Vine Grafter, so I think it's a fool's
Right.
errand at this point, unfortunately for Theo.
Yeah, Theo once again almost got there, and then out comes the Azindel 5/5 lifesteal region with the big, don't let me untap ability.
Breaker ninety
Yeah,
four,
and
Ilya says in chat, when are we going to see Ilya in these tourneys? When are you staking your T and E claim, Ilya?